But first, before we introduce Brian, I want you guys to re-meet our colleague and friend, Lori Olson. Lori is the Vice President of Philanthropy for Opportunity International, and she has been with Opportunity for just, 17 or 18 years or so, so she's just getting started with her job. She does a wonderful job. She is our friend, our mentor when it comes to Opportunity International and helping us serve throughout the world, and she helped us choose Colombia for our church when we were trying to decide which country that we would serve in for our outreach worldwide commitment. And Lori is the kind of person who you just work with her for a week, 2 weeks, she'll become your best friend. She is really good at what she does, and she has a really hard job. I was honored to go to a 50th anniversary in Chicago last February, and I learned that Minnesota is one of the top states in the country for philanthropy, not only for Opportunity International, but for other organizations as well. And that speaks really highly to us as people and our culture in Minnesota. And that means that Lori has a lot of work to do, because a lot of our good givers live right here in Minnesota, and a lot of the leaders at Opportunity International are from Minnesota that volunteer a lot of their time. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Lori, and she's going to give an introduction to Brian.
Thanks, Amy. Well, again, thank you all for being here tonight, and it is an honor and a blessing to not only walk with you at Trinity, but walk with our clients and our supporters of Opportunity International. Susie says I have a hard job, but I have like the best job in the world. I just got back a couple of days ago from Uganda, where I visited. Our first bank branch opened in a refugee camp, and it was such a huge, huge blessing. The burden is heavy on your heart, because the work, it's just beginning. And there's so much to do for people that live in extreme poverty. But we can't be overwhelmed. We can just do our part. And so blessed to do our part. I will tell you that the people that are sitting in this room, it's really important. There is, for global issues, so we were talking about global issues, and Minnesota is highly philanthropic, especially in the global context. But I will tell you that as a nation, we are the most generous nation in the world, so we can take, that's an honor to be the most generous nation. Only 7% of the charitable dollars that are given in the United States go outside of our back doors. So as a church and as a community, it's a huge blessing that you guys can care about people that you may never meet. And when we know that the needs in our backyard are so enormous. Now, I was just supposed to introduce him, but I just wanted to share that little statistic. This is my dear, dear friend, Brian Olarte. Brian has been with Opportunity International. 11 years. I knew that. Okay. For 11 years, he's our country director. He's my hero, actually. He's our country director for our program in Colombia. And without further ado, we are here to hear him tonight. So,
thank you, Lori. Thank you very much, Lori. Again, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here at Trinity Lutheran Church. It's my second or third visit, and I'm very glad that we have this partnership, and I feel blessed, and our clients feel blessed by your support. So thank you very much. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our program, excuse me, in Colombia. First, I wanted to let you know that Colombia was the first country where Opportunity International started 51 years ago. So my 11 years are nothing, are a drop in a bucket compared to the work in Colombia of Opportunity International. I'd like to introduce you to Luz Dari and Andrea. They are single moms. Luz Dari particularly has been a victim of the conflict in Colombia that has been running for 60 years. She's one of the 8 million displaced people in Colombia. They work in recycling. Every night, because people put out their garbage outside at night, they rummage the city and they can get cardboard, plastics, tin, and anything of value and sell it to the recycling spots where they come together and buy the items from our clients. Not all our clients are recyclers, but particularly people in extreme poverty do this type of job. That day that I was with them, they were able to sell what they have in those sacks for 3,500 pesos. $1 is 5,000 pesos. So that day they were able to get just under $1. And they're part of a savings group or a village savings and loans association. The first thing our clients tell us is that they cannot save. How can we save if we don't have enough money to eat? And this is Catherine, a Venezuelan migrant. Currently we have 5,000 clients. Next 3 years, my challenge is to grow to 20,000 clients in our Village and Savings Association program or our savings groups. This is a Venezuelan migrant group in Barranquilla. They are recyclers and they manufacture things from the recycling. So they not only sell what they recycle, but they make rugs and they fix things up and they sell them in their community. This is the box where they're safe. Well, I'll show you the box in a little closer picture. It's got 3 keys, it's got a calculator, it's got a pen, it's got 20 booklets, it's got a general ledger for the president, there's counters, there's 2 little buckets or 2 little bowls where they put the money that they save up in their savings accounts that stay in there. And there's another bucket where they put the social fund, because they give 500 pesos each meeting for the social fund for any calamity that the group may have. We have 12 village savings and loans officers, and our officers live in these communities, and they come from our savings groups. And we're able to bring help to them when we cannot enter the community, if that is the case, like it happened during the pandemic. We were able to send money to our employees. They bought the food, and we're able to give the food assistance to our communities because they were right there. Like I said, this is a family of Venezuelan immigrants, and they form part of our bigger family. They save for 8 months, and then we close out the cycle. Of course, I want to tread back a little bit. Once they have saved a threshold of money, then they have access to credits, and they have a credit committee, and they apply for a credit to their own group, and the credit committee decides whether to give the loan out or not. And of course, 99 times out of 10, they decide on what is the payment capacity and the debt capacity of this client. So it's a self-maintained, they make all the decisions, basically. How much interest they charge, who's the president, and they elect the president, they elect the key bearers. There's a box bearer, and there's 3 key bearers. So it's a very organized bank, if you will. Our communities call them banquitos. So once our clients are engaging in this methodology, then they receive financial literacy training. We have developed an application-based, WhatsApp-based training session that they undergo with our savings and loans organizations, savings and loans officers, and it's a 5 model training program that lasts 3 months. Within those 8 months, they get training on yes, you can save, on how to manage a debt. They get a training in budgeting of their business and home, and they get introduced to the Colombian financial systems, financial services system, because Opportunity International, all of its programs around the world are based on access to financial services. So they also get introduced to a savings account by one of our financial services providers. Let's step away a little bit from our savings group and go into Shalom. What happens is that we are always looking for additional service, peripheral services, I call them, to our clients. So this client base not only is getting access to credits, access to savings, access to financial literacy, we have developed a 2-phase program called Shalom. Shalom meaning holistic well-being, holistic training. And we partner with the Medellin Biblical Seminary, which is the most renowned biblical seminary in Colombia, to teach 60 of our churches. Oh, by the way, we also form groups with our churches in our communities. So we approach community leaders, pastors, to introduce this savings group methodology to them. So we partner with the Biblical Seminary to apply this holistic community assessment tool that we develop along with Opportunity Malawi, Opportunity Philippines, and Opportunity Colombia. And it was a way to assess the spiritual status of our clients. We wanted to know where they stood. And it grew into a more holistic. So not only spiritual, but we wanted to know how they were doing with the relationship with God, the relationship with themselves, with their families, with their communities, and with the environment. Understanding that the environment is also very important in the holistic well-being of a community. We taught 60 churches in 8 cities to apply this tool to their flock as part of a displacement intervention program. Out of this holistic assessment in these realms, the second phase was a training. And yes, I apologize, it's a little bit hard to read. I see people squinting. A training in these 6 realms. So it grew from a 5-realm evaluation to a 6-realm training. And of course, this training, every single module of the 24 modules or 24 sessions, 6 modules, are faith-based. So they're supported by biblical teachings. The first realm is foundations, building resiliency, self-worth, grit, that movement forward that every human being needs to have hope and self-worth. The second realm is financial well-being. The third realm is personal well-being. The fourth, family. The fifth, community. And the last is environmental well-being. So from that tool, we're able to assess the community and then pick what are the most pressing modules to render to our clients. And of course, this is all given to our clients, our Village Savings and Loans clients. Another program that we bring to our clients is the entrepreneurship program. It has training and it has seed capital. And then we work with them for 6 months after that. So they get training, they get seed capital, And the training is business, a training in business, and then a technical training on different business lines. The business lines that we saw and saw that were needed in that specific program was food service, beauty services, and confections. And here are some of our clients receiving their seed capital. Sewing machine, an oven to bake bread for Gabriela, for those of you who know who Gabriela is. Of course, one-on-one assistance, and this is a food service training. And also, some of the skills that were taught, sorry to go back, in these business lines like budgeting, expense, cost calculation, customer service basics, accounting were given, some of them were given online. We were not able to give these services to 100% of our savings group clients because it takes a lot of resources to have these type of programs. So we found an ultra-poverty graduation approach, which is a much more holistic approach. And then we can bring all those services that I just described to you into one service that engages families within one community. Okay, so it's a sustainable livelihoods program for extreme poor communities, and it is holistic and it's sequential. The pilot, we're doing it in the city of Cartagena in Virgin, it's called the Mangrove of the Virgin Mother, la Ciénaga de la Virgen. And this is the type of conditions our clients live in. This is garbage. And what happens is they throw garbage and rubble, and they build their homes there. And then these neighborhoods have their own economies, self-contained economies. You can go out, we have clients that go out with a thermos of coffee, a bag full of 200 peso bread, and they sell the cup of coffee and the bread as breakfast for 300-400 pesos. And there's many other livelihoods that you can see in these communities. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the graduation approach, and please forgive me for that. But I will read to you what you are seeing here. The graduation approach looks at 5 pillars or five realms: social protection, financial inclusion, social empowerment, and livelihoods promotion. Social protection has to do with referral services and linkages, access to healthcare through other partners like hospitals whose calling is help the poor, funded by other organizations or maybe by the government. Access to other services like infancy care or early infancy help with vitamins and items like that. So the first area is social protection. Along with referral services comes the coaching. These families that we engage into this program, which my dream is to have 100% of our clients in a couple of years engaged in this program, they get 2 coaches that visit the families once a week. One coach is a psychosocial coach that will be helping them in social inclusion and social empowerment, and another means of life coach that will help them with financial empowerment and livelihoods promotion. The second realm in financial inclusion, they go into a savings group. And all the things that you heard about at the savings group, the financial training, the financial literacy training, and the access to a bank account. And hopefully, as they get strong, then to credits by the financial system. But for now, they will have credits from their own group. So they are starting to get into this the world of financial services. The third pillar is social empowerment. So we give them technical training. We give them a core capacity building, and that core capacity building is the Shalom training in the 6 realms that I told you. So you see how we're bringing everything together, and then some, because we have coaches now that help them. We have, and the psychosocial coach is a psychology student at later semesters, or a recently graduated psychology or social worker. And after they receive this coaching, or while they're receiving the first 6 months of coaching, they get consumption support. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you about in social protection. For the first 6 months, they get consumption support. So basically, we're giving them a monthly stipend so they can buy groceries, so the family is stabilized and they can think about all this training and think about all these programs that we're giving them, and they're not hungry. They don't have to go and rummage. They can concentrate on our program. After the 6 months is over, then the livelihood promotion comes in. The livelihoods promotion comes in, and they are given seed capital and a business line. Those who don't have who do not participate in a business line means that they're participating in an employment track, and they get training, and we pay for that training, and then they have access to employment, because we have partners that will give them employment when they're finished with the program. So as you can see, these 4 pillars really are a holistic way of helping our families. This program lasts 2 years. The first 6 months are assessments. What are assessments? You assess the community. You see what is their standing, what type of services in these 4 pillars they need, and then you design that program. You assess it financially and psychosocially, or economically and psychosocially. Then you spend some time designing the program and some time targeting, basically qualifying the families. Because as our partners in Haiti said, I said to the country manager there when I was starting to look into this program, and she said to me, go to the communities you already work in and go look for those who have no shoes and no shirt and are ashamed to go to church because they have no shoes. And those are the people that you're going to help. Those are the people you're going to engage into this program. So at the end of the program, what do we have? We have increased skills in these families, going from very little skills to increased skills, increased assets because of the savings and the training and the seed capital. They have increased access to services, to peripheral services, as they call them. It can be health. It can be early infancy, as I said. They have food security at the end of these 2 years. They can eat, instead of once a day, they can eat 2 or 3 times a day. They have savings, because already they've been 1.5 years in a savings group. And they've been given credit, and they can take those credits and put them into fixing a roof so it doesn't leak anymore and get their mattresses wet. Or more assets for their business. It could be an oven, as you saw one of our clients getting oven to bake bread. And they are included socially. They have self-worth. They understand that they are worth something, that their time is worth something. As one of our clients shared with us in one of our visits, I charge for my time now. When I make, she's a driftwood worker, and she makes little keychains and lamps and all kinds of unbelievable, beautiful items with the driftwood that she finds. She sands it down and makes it beautiful. She can paint it, and then she can make a lamp or many things. And she was telling us, I charge for that time. And that's because she learned that her time was valuable. She didn't know how much to charge for a keychain. She was undercharging for these keychains. But she understands that she's valuable, and her time is worth something. She's worth something. And least but not last, the water filters. We also, as just a couple of minutes ago, I was reminded that we look for the needs of our clients. We're not stuck in one program. Because if we got only stuck in one program, we would be giving them the box to save, and then at the end of the 8 months, we would say, here, now you know how to save, you had access to credit, whatever business you had, you were able to leverage it, go and be successful. Well, we understand that we need to be a microfinance plus organization. So we saw a need for safe drinking water in our communities, because we saw skin conditions in our clients. We saw that the hair of the children was not the right color, was even falling off because of the type of the water they get. There's a community 2 hours away from Cartagena called Puerto Badel. That community has been drinking the same water for the last 52 years that comes from the mangrove. We looked at that water. It had enormous levels of human waste, for lack of a better term, or E. coli, and turbidity issues. And all they did was take rocks of chlorine, because that's what the state told them to do, and put it in the water, and then they would drink it, they would cook with it, they would do all that. But with our filters, which is this filter right here, is called the biosand water filter. We were lucky enough to be contacted by the Rotarian Club in Canada, and they gave us for free this methodology. We go to our communities and teach people how to build the filters. So we leave the capacity in the community. This filter is about a meter-long filter, meter tall. It weighs about 80 kilos, and all it takes is concrete, sand, and pebbles, and a little plastic line where the water goes. The water goes in here, and by the time the water hits this bucket, it's 98% free of virus and bacteria. And it complies with the government regulations for apt water for human consumption. We teach our communities and train the families on how to manage the filter, how to clean it, which is a 2-step process that takes you about 5 minutes. That's all the maintenance that this filter takes. We teach them on safe water practices, and the best example I can give you is in Central America. I didn't have, but we saw children with cleft palates, being born with deformities. When they looked at it, was that the banana plantations brought their pesticides in beautiful containers. And all they did was wash the container and store their water in there. And of course, they were consuming pesticides. So we teach them about the 5-step process of handling water, which is protect the water source. How am I doing in time, Lori? Okay. Protect the water source, let it sit, sedimentation, filter it, put a couple of drops of chlorine, not a rock, 1 rock per liter, and we give them also the droppers, the droppers, the little drop things, and store it safely. That's a simple 5-step program. And then we give them wash training also. Wash meaning water and hygiene training. And we install and monitor the filter for 3 months. We have installers, we have trainers, we have monitors, and they're all trained by us, and they're all from the community. So we create employment in the community, we create capacity for more filters in the community, and we leave them with water apps for human consumption for the next 30 years, because this filter lasts 30 years, proven by the Calgary University. So we were able to help an entire town of 700 people. We're just about to start a program that will help 700 families have access to water app for human consumption. So with this, I want to end my presentation. This is a family in the Cachenche region, and you can see that they consider their filter a family member. They put a skirt on it, and they have painted the filter, and they're very proud and very thankful for their filter. We have a client that runs a elderly, and she says, I have to feed my elderly. She's around 70, and she says, I have to feed my elderly friends. Mrs. Agua Limpias, believe it or not, her name is Clean Water. Her last name is Clean Water. And they are very grateful for a simple $60 solution. Of course, training and managing brings up the cost of the project, but this filter itself is a $60 filter that will last them 30 years. And all you have to do to clean it is switch the water so the biolayer is dissolved, and take that water out to allow for a new biolayer to build, because good bacteria lives in the filter, bad bacteria comes in, it gets eaten. Whatever isn't eaten by the good bacteria dies in the sand. Whatever doesn't die gets stuck by the sand, dies of asphyxiation down in the filter. So the result is wonderful water that tastes good, right, Melanie? So thank you for your time, and I'd like to now see if you have any questions. Oh, yes, right here.
Okay, so my question is to Brian, which I know the answer, but you said you have 12 loan officers. How many people, what's a day in the life of a loan officer, and how many clients do they see on a weekly basis?
So they're charged with several tasks, but the two main tasks is to form groups. They have capacity to form 35 groups that form from anywhere from 11 to 19 people, but I don't approve any groups lower than 15. So 35 groups of 15 people, each savings and loan officer. They go out on a daily basis to the community and approach community leaders, as I said. Ask the community leader, of course, present the methodology, ask the community leader for his permission and help gathering people for a meeting. They do introductory meeting, and then they form 1, 2, 3, however groups have to happen to come out of the meeting. They have to meet with every group either once a week or twice a month, what the group decides. And they can meet with 8 groups. It takes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours per meeting, so anywhere from 4 to 8 groups a day.
So just for a second, to think about that, I think, like, if you were to come together as a community of 15 people and help each other out, and they stay together for, what's
8 months.
8 months is every cycle.
Every cycle. We keep them for a 2-month cycle on the savings and loan methodology. In the graduation model, they will be with us for 15 months.
So if we think about coming together as a community, working together for 8 months at a time, different cycles, then a group can stay together for another cycle.
They
another
can stay
cycle.
together for 8 years if they wish.
The average group, the average trust group, which is a little bit different, which I won't get into, but savings group, the next step would be a trust group, stays together for almost an average of 5 years. So if you meet with your neighbors, 20 to 30 people for 5 years, just think of the community that we've created, how we care about each other. So if somebody gets ill or something, we're there for each other, and we celebrate together, we mourn together losses, we come together as a community. So God's presence is just so prevalent in these groups because they have now created these communities with each other. So I think that's just an important thing. And I'll walk around for other questions if somebody has any. No other, oh.
In one of the first slides, they had numbers, like when he was holding the box on the very first slide, second slide maybe, and he had a number 1 on his shirt, and she had a number 5 or something on.
Right.
What does that mean?
They have each group member has a number, and when they do roll call, they go number 1, and he comes up and picks up his booklet, number 2. So in the first meetings, we put numbers on them. That later on, they lose the numbers and they continue. They know.
Hi.
Hi.
I just have a silly question, but how
No
much
questions.
water does one of these filtration devices make in a 24-hour period or whatever?
Well, thank you very much, madam, for that question, and it was not silly. Each filter can process 60 liters of water a day. It has to rest for the bacteria to maintain strong, but each filter can process 60 liters a day. Yes, ma'am. So that is enough for drinking and cooking.
So just to kind of talk through the magic that happens, like with the water. I think Brian shared about the water last year. You guys connected over water, decided that water was going to be one of your focus areas as a church, as a community that was so critical. I mean, kids are dying because they don't have safe water to drink. And it's a pretty simple problem to solve. Then Melody, she decides she's going to take it on as a project.
Thank you,
and
Melody.
involves the Rotary International, applies for a Rotary International grant. That 700 filter community that's going to receive 700 filters is because somebody cared. And that somebody is sitting right here in the community. So we want to recognize that. Another connection that we had is the Vanderrooms that have a water project in your community. We are now in conversations with them about next steps with how can we work together. So that's the magic that happens because people care. Because you heard and you told somebody and we all cared. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Melanie.
Before this, we did a little exercise with Brian, with our outreach team, on making decisions. And I don't know if there's a way to just share a little bit of that, of just how we had to kind of talk through the choices of what like a client has to do on a daily basis. I don't know if you're able to, we don't have the cards, but you gave us a client, and maybe just kind of share a little bit of the story, and then some of the choices that they have to think through.
Thank
and then,
you.
And somebody from the group share how they felt.
Yeah.
So we'll have Brian share the exercise, and then somebody from the group share how they felt. Is that okay? Do we have a volunteer to share next? Okay.
We have an activity where a client, we give a group $2 in coins, represented in 8 coins, and we give them a scenario of a client about their situation of work, their situation of access to health, situation of transportation, their situation of access to food or food security, and housing. And we give a scenario of a day in the life of a client, and they're given, our activity members are given choices. If you put a coin in transportation, then you will be able to achieve this. If you put 5 coins, then you will be able to achieve this. But the impossible decision is that, well, Melanie, I don't know if you want to continue.
Sure, I'm happy to. And again, having been in these neighborhoods and traveling with these two in August, I can relate very personally. But our person was Gabriella, who had 3 children, and she's trying to support herself making and selling bread, and her sister, who has malaria, has nowhere to go and comes to live with her with 2 more children. So you have 2 adults, one of which is sick and can't work, and you have 5 children. And so those 8 coins, which represented that income which people in extreme poverty live on, does not go far enough. So it took 5 of those coins to have the children and the parents get 1 meal. So as we talked, you can have 1 coin and 3 kids got a meal, the other kids and the parents did not. And so but yet if you don't have food, how can you work? And how can the person that's sick get better? And with transportation, you walk the whole day to deliver the bread, or could you rent a bike and do it in half the time, but now we use 3 of our coins. The roof leaks, and so we're all getting wet at night, which the person with malaria is going to get sicker, but it takes 3 coins to patch the roof. If we want to send even 1 child to school, that was 1 coin. If we wanted to send all the kids to school, it was 5 coins. We have 8. So it took 5 coins to eat. It would take 5 coins for the children to go to school. To get medicine and go to a hospital was 5 coins. We only have 8. We can't spend it on everything. So it shows you the absolute impossible decisions. And if you think as a parent, and those are your kids that can't eat, those are your kids that can't go to school, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So I think what I so appreciate about the work of Opportunity is they are figuring out a way to give people hope. Because it is a hopeless feeling if you couldn't feed your children, if you couldn't get medicine for your sister, if you couldn't do anything. And so to have hope where you learn to save if even the meagerest amount and you get some support to have livelihood, to have a connection to services so that the sister could have gotten health. It's just, it's life transforming because you're going to transform the life of that entire family who can then better the next generation. And so when I think about our wonderful church and our wonderful community, I am so thankful that we have a place in our heart for people that most of us will never meet and who are in other parts of the world because, if every person and if every church had a heart for just 1 more person or 1 more place, we would end world poverty. And so I think I'm just blessed to be in a church that gives locally and has a heart for people of the world because they are all God's children. We are all God's children. And it's only for, the hand we're dealt that we were born here and we are in this community versus born in that area of poverty in Colombia. And so I just appreciate all of you. And I think when we share the story, because I heard the story of the water sitting there thinking, 30 years of clean water for an entire family for under $100. I mean, I was just shocked that it took so little. And if you don't have your health and clean water, you can't work, you can't do anything. And when I tell the story, other people said, yeah. So I had all these other Rotary clubs join me and say, we'll give a little. And now that 750 families is 3,000 people. Just because of telling the story. I didn't do anything other than tell the story. But if we all told the story, you never know what we can do. So just little me telling a story, we now can serve 3,000 people for
Little
30
you.
years.
Huge you.
So
What do you mean, little
I'm
me?
just saying, we all have that power to tell the story. And what is wonderful is they have the vehicle to make it happen. I mean, I can't go down there and figure out all this and who can build it and who can service it. And this is the expertise that having local people on the ground who can train people, who can bring them the filter models. I mean, when you think about how do you realistically serve globally, we have to have partners. We have to have partners that know how to do the work in the countries that we want to serve. And so that's how, when the outreach committee was looking for partners, we just love the model that Opportunity has about teaching people to fish. It's not just charity, like we're just going to give you food, and when the food runs out, you're still starving. We are helping people so that the capacity to help their family is going to come from them, and they get the skills and the training and the confidence and the hope that they can help their family. So that model of teaching people to fish is what I'm most impressed about with Opportunity, and the fact that their methods are bringing people up from the community. Their staff are from the community, and they train them. And it's just amazing. These women would get on the bus in their Opportunity shirts and looking so crisp, and they live in these poverty areas, but they are professionals. They did an amazing job. And so it's just a privilege to see that great work, and I'm just thankful that our church is able to have that vision of helping people beyond our backyard.
Thank you.
So I came in a little late to that scenario, but what really struck me was, as I walked in, the conversation among the people around the table from the committee, and the difficulty for us to decide how are we going to spend that money, those 8 coins. And then Brian shared a little bit about what the graduation program can do. And it just shocked me how much of a difference that program can make. For 6 months, it takes away the need to take those 5 coins, 5 of the 8 coins, to feed the family. That's included in the graduation program. There's also access to medical care for the lady, the sister who had malaria, is part of the graduation program. And that's what really struck me in how much this program can make a difference in their lives on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and what it can give to them. And I don't know if there's more you can share around that. But
Thank you for that. No, yes, just thank you for that, sir. Yeah, as we were discussing, we had those impossible decisions. But then as we come in and we take away many of those impossible decisions, and they can save, they can get trained, they don't, for 6 months, they don't have to worry about those 5 coins to have that 1 meal a day. So it's a powerful program. And my prayers and my hopes and the reason that I'm here and the reason that I've been doing this in 5 cities and trying to get support is that we can engage 20,000 clients in this graduation model. Not only 20,000 saving and getting training and getting knowledge in the financial world, but in the entire program. That would be celestial music to my ears. So to help
Cost of the program.
So to help a family for those 18 months and the program to run 2 years is $2,400 for a family. So it's 2 years, 4 people, $2,400. one trip to Starbucks a day.
I want to touch on just one more thing about what Melody said is, you know, it's the hand that we were dealt, right? And one of my dear friends said to me one time, it's just latitude and longitude that separates us. And it really is. And we know that too much is given, much is expected. So, you know, this is all part of God's design for us. And if we look at it that way, we look for solutions. We look for partnerships. We look to help each other. Because where did Jesus spend his time? You know, he didn't spend his time with the tax collectors. So, anyways, pretty passionate about working together with faith communities. It's really awesome.
So
Is
thank
there
you.
any one more question, or we can?
Thank you for your support. Really, this is my main message to Trinity is thank you for your support. I'm humbled by you.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for coming and hearing Brian's update. And I hope everybody learned a little something new tonight, something to think about. What I wanted to share with all of you guys is that now that COVID is over, the world is opening up, we have started planning, the Outreach Committee has started planning some Opportunity International events for Trinity for the 22-23 year. And we're going to, of course, start right off in November with the Agape Market. Want everybody to remember to come to the Agape Market, shop at the Agape Market, buy gifts. We're going to have an Opportunity International table there where you can donate, and I would assume possibly buy water filters and help savings and loan officers. There's going to be all sorts of things that you can contribute to if you like what Opportunity International is doing. So look forward to that in November. In December, so I don't know that Melanie told you clearly enough, but she got to represent Trinity down in Colombia in August. And it was, to me, after hearing her speak about her trip, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. It changed her life tremendously. And not only is she involved with Rotary, she's also involved with Trinity's Opportunity International cause as well. And in December, we're going to have Melanie do a shift or a podcast to our church community. And I seriously have never heard a presentation as good as hers was when I heard it. So she's passionate about what she saw down there. And she is one of our very first church members to go and see and experience the sunflower community of the community which we are working in. And so really talk to your friends, talk to your families about seeing that shift in December. It's going to be amazing. And then in February, I don't know, Brian and Lori talked a little bit about Shalom. Melanie talked about it. Just to reiterate, when we signed up with Opportunity International, we love the savings and loan program. We thought, let's teach these folks accounting and business practices and how to start a business. In fact, I would love to take those classes as well because I think I could learn a lot. But just imagine if you were only living on $2 a day, how valuable those lessons are. And when Brian says Opportunity International has a plus sign behind it, it means that they have found in some of their communities that they need things as simple as clean water. And so we've done fundraisers here at church with the women's group to raise money for the water filters. And getting back to Shalom, they found that there are people there that live on less than $1.14 a day. And those folks are living in such poverty that they have no hope, they have no dignity, they have no self-worth. And so what Shalom is, it's a training process it's kind of that psychological process of giving somebody their legs to stand back up on. And the Opportunity International folks that that Trinity would be a perfect place for some of our members to be trained in how to do shalom. And so we thought we would bring it to everybody here and do some shalom training in February, which we think that we can use in our own community as well as in Colombia. So we're going to do that in February. We're also going to have a winter fundraising event in February. And then, wait for it, we're going to possibly do an insight trip to Colombia, where we want to get our suitcases packed again and our travel bugs out on the road again and into the country. And we're looking at possibly having a trip in March or April. And we will be planning that trip and getting it promoted out to the church members as soon as we can. So we're very excited for more of us to go down to the Sunflower region and meet with some of the clients and see and be able to be the eyes and the ears for Trinity. And so we're going to try to plan our first insight trip. So I'm very excited about that. But that's all we have for tonight. We really want to thank you for coming and sharing and being here and listening again. And really, really appreciate your time. So I want to thank Brian for coming all the way from Colombia here to share with us. So yeah, thank you for coming, and we really appreciate everything you're doing down there in Colombia. So thank you. Are you going to try to go?